So, I don't think it's a hot take to say that the Pelicans have not had a good free agency and maybe not even a good offseason. And this is not the right time to not be having a good offseason if you're the Pelicans, because you have Zion, who is a generational player who has 2 years left on his contract and has already it's already been reported that he has certain family members who want him to leave New Orleans. So, there's definitely pressure on the Pelicans to be a good team, and I don't really think they've addressed their problems in free agency. I think they've gotten worse because of losing Lonzo Ball, and it just has not been a good free agency. Starting with the Eric Bledsoe and Steven Adams trade for Valanciunas, which I actually thought was decent for them, getting off Bledsoe's contract, getting off of Adams for Valanciunas, only having to give up, moving back once in the draft and then giving up an extra pick. I mean, I don't think that was the worst thing in the world, but Valanciunas isn't a player that really fits around Zion Williamson because he's a big guy who can't really shoot, shoots like less than 1-3 a game, which is more than Adams, but his release is so slow and teams are not going to be guarding him out there. They're going to be packing the paint to stop Zion. He's also a worse defensive player than Steven Adams, and one of my biggest issues with the Pelicans with that move and with the other moves they made is they're just going to be terrible defensively. They almost have no roadmap to being a good defensive team between Devontae Graham, who's small, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, who's not a very good defender, Zion and Ingram, who aren't good defenders, and Valanciunas, who isn't a good defender. So I don't think they have a roadmap to being a good defensive team. And with Valanciunas, his main skill is probably being a low post player, and obviously can't really do much of that with Zion on the floor. But overall, it wasn't like the worst trade. Then we get to the offseason where they let Lonzo go and in return get like Satoransky, Garrett Temple, and a second, which just really isn't anything notable at all. Maybe Satoransky, he's a decent backup point guard, but to lose Lonzo, who is one of their young guys on the same timeline as Zion, who could shoot and who could play make a little bit and who was a good defender, to me, it just didn't make sense for them to let him go, especially when the contract, 4 years, $85 million, I could have seen him get offered a lot more than that. So letting Lonzo go, very problematic for me. And then, of course, that brings up a hole at point guard. And to replace it, they sign and trade for Devontae Graham, 4 years, $47 million, and give up a first-round pick, though it is heavily protected. But it's still a first-round pick for a guy who, would the Hornets really have matched if the Pelicans just offered him that? I mean, I'm not sure. But the main thing is they also miss out on guys like Kyle Lowry, Chris Paul, Tim Hardaway Jr., who they're also rumored to go after, which, that's why they opened up the cap space. One of the reasons they did the Adams and Bledsoe trade was to open up cap space, and they just couldn't get anyone. Chris Paul re-signed, Lowry went to the Heat, and Tim Hardaway Jr. re-signed, and it left them with Devontae Graham, who is not a good defender. He's like 6 feet tall, which is not a great fit because the Pelicans need defensive players. He also can't score inside the arc, which is a bit problematic. I will say he is a good three-point shooter, and the Pelicans need shooting. But apart from that, he's a pretty good playmaker. But he's just not. I think they needed someone who can provide more defensively. So just overall, I haven't liked their moves they have made. I think the moves they haven't made have also been problematic. And this isn't the right time to do that because Zion, you'd say, when you draft a player, you think you have the 4 years initially, then he's a restricted free agent, so you can match any offer. And that could very well happen, but here's something Zion could do. After his 4 years are up, he could sign the qualifying offer, which would be a 1-year deal, and after that he would be a restricted free agent. So so the Pelicans could very well only have 3 more years of Zion, or he could even force his way out while demanding a trade, which is a possibility, though I doubt the Pelicans would trade him. So not a great situation at all for the Pelicans. Obviously, they still have a bit of time, but I mean, the time is now. There is one thing, I think the only thing that can really save them from this is, obviously they got rid of Stan Van Gundy and replaced him with Willie Green, who was the Suns' assistant. So you would hope that he has more buy-in from the players. But the thing I'm thinking of is a trade, because I think they need something. I think they need to. They've obviously signaled that they want to win, but they need to get somebody. And with a trade, the player doesn't have to agree to it. So obviously the big name is Damian Lillard. If they could get him with 4 years left on his contract, that would just be great. But they're going to have to offer a lot, and Dame is going to have to want to leave. And even so, I said the player can't control it, but maybe, Dame is saying he doesn't want to go to the Pelicans, and the Blazers respect that. Apart from that, I mean, Dragic still hasn't been announced to be going to the Raptors in the Lowry sign-in trade. So maybe they get him, but then again, he's 35, and that seems like a very rushed short-term fix. If I think of anything else, obviously there still are a few free agents between Dennis Schroeder and Kelly Oubre. Maybe those signings are okay, but I can't really see those guys wanting to go to New Orleans, and they're neither of them are great fits. Maybe a trade for someone like Buddy Hield, who is likely available, given that the Kings tried to trade him. I'm thinking of like what the Pelicans' trade assets are. They obviously have a ton of picks. In terms of players, I mean, they have a few young guys: Nickel Alexander Walker, Jackson Hayes. They have the guys from the sign-in trades: Tomas Satoransky, Garrett Temple. So we'll just have to see. But I think the Pelicans are in a problematic situation where the roster, I mean, just the defense is just going to be terrible. Like, they don't have any good defenders. Like, I don't know how they expect to be a competent defensive team. And if you're not that, you're going to have to be an absolutely incredible offense. And I think they can, between Point Zion and the spacing of Ingram and Devontae Graham. But, they're going to end up being like the 10th best offense and the 29th best defense, and maybe even miss the play-in again, because the West is super competitive. So, yeah, Pelicans not in a good spot. Zion could be gone in 3 years. I think they definitely need a trade. But anyways, thanks for watching this video, guys. Leave a like, subscribe to this channel for more NBA content, and I'll see you guys next time.